Hello everyone! Welcome back to the World Tapping Circle. I'm Sonia Sophia. You're here with a member of Team Love called Surya, and we're here to support you and to support ourselves to keep moving forward, processing what came up for you, and help you understand yourself, grow and mature and evolve, and get on top of your game and keep moving those mental blocks out of the way so that you can do what you came to this world to do. So thank you for joining me. This is really important, what we're doing together for ourselves and for the way the world works, because, you know, people make the world go round. We decide what's happening in our culture. We decide what's happening on our planet. So the more calm and aligned and functional we become, the more powerful we create this world. So I'm happy that you're here doing it. The theme today is releasing regrets. So I don't know about you, but I know about me. And I know that sometimes I have these little flashes go through my mind of regrets, of things that I wish I had done differently or said differently or been aware of earlier in my life. And for whatever reason, the person I was then didn't know that stuff. And the person I am now still has this little checklist of wanting to clean that up or repair it. And of course, many of those people are long gone. And it may be very hard to track down that old hairdresser from when I was 15. However, I can clean it up inside myself, inside my own memory. My goal when I leave this world is to have a heart as light as a feather. That means that I have said what I needed to say, I've done what I needed to do, that I have forgiven myself for my journey and asked for others' forgiveness, that I have learned to really love, and most importantly, learn to love myself as much as the divine loves me. So I meditate on many of these concepts that we tap on in Circle, and today we're going to work through little regrets or big regrets. You know, sometimes we're in the middle of a big change in life and we have to clean up a lot of stuff on our way by. So whatever it is for you, whether it's a little bit of tidying and dusting or it's a major overhaul, the Circle is going to help you move it on through. I'm going to say hello to our faithful friends here in the chat room. Thank you for chatting in when you arrive, letting me know where you're logging in from. And if you care to say hello, we love to see that you're here. Bonsoir from Celestine in Quebec. Sweet John, was thinking about you today. I'm so glad you made it here on time. Cecil, hello in Sebastopol, California. Sloan in Berkeley, California. Golden Dragon from Ohio. Loving see Lindsay here in Marin. Wow, welcome back everybody. All right, well, as more and more people pile into the room, I'm going to prep you for where you want to take this session. So maybe there are many things that you want to tidy up inside yourself that you haven't quite forgiven yourself for, or you wish you had done differently. And I'd like you to think of the thing that would make the biggest difference for you today. And then do remember that this video is logged into worldtappingcircle.com members area in the video library. By tomorrow it'll be there and you can use this again and again. Also want to remind you that the replay video that goes out each week, the link that you use to log in to this video is also the same link on your replay video, and it'll take you straight back to this circle. So you'll have two ways to get to this circle. All right, welcome Nins and Carrie and Megan. I'm really happy to see all of you here. Good job, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to go into the core causes questions. That's your 5-minute deep dive check-in. We'll roll it up here on the screen for those of you watching this on replay. For those live, hit the get started button, and in 5 minutes we'll get to tapping. All right, welcome back, and here we go. So the first thing I want you to do is find the front of your chest. If you're new here and new to tapping, put your fingers on your collarbones, drop down about 6 to 8 inches, and press around in your upper breast tissue until you find kind of a sore spot in here. Give it a light massage and a big deep breath. Now remember, your body's going to off-gas in the way that it does, and it's releasing stored stress from the nervous system. So that might come out in yawns, or burping, or laughing, or tears, or tingles, or weird little pains or sensations moving through your body. You're just going to keep tapping and breathing and relaxing and accepting what is, and all of that's going to come out, and you're going to feel great after this. Okay? Here we go. Big deep breath. Focusing on whatever that regret is for you. And when I say this issue, you're going to say the actual regret that you have, okay? Here we go. Even though I have this issue, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tapping the eyebrows. And tapping the temples. This issue. And say your regret again. Tapping the cheeks. Part of me really regrets. Say what it is one more time. And tapping under the nose. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tapping under the lips. Even if a part of me continues to regret. And what is it that you regret? Tapping the chest. I'm open to loving and accepting myself even though I have a lot of grief about this. Tune in and see if grief is an emotion that you have about this. Do you feel sad that you created that experience for yourself for whatever reason? Big deep breath. And tapping down to the front of the ribs. This regret. Big deep breath. And the side of the rib cage. I'm open to accepting this regret and all the feelings that come with it. Tapping the inside of the wrist. Part of me feels sad. I wish this hadn't happened. Tap the side of the thumb. Part of me really regrets it. Big deep breath. And just notice that part of you that wants to doggy paddle away from that sensation of regret. I know that regret is a low-level feeling, but sometimes it feels very overwhelming. And we do try to avoid it. The problem with avoiding feelings is it tends to make them reoccur and repeat a lot. And the way we resolve our feelings is by bringing acceptance to what was and to what is, so that we can actually move on. Tap the middle finger, this regret. And describe again what it's about. You have 10 seconds. Go. Tapping the bottom of the fourth finger, all this regret. Tap the little finger. It cost me, and what did it cost you? Go ahead and say what it cost you. Tapping the side of the hand. It cost me. Did it cost you friends? Did it cost you self-esteem? Did it cost you a lot of money? Or love? Or trust? Tap the top of the head. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tapping the sides of the head and the back of the head. Even if it's hard to love and accept it, I'm open to feeling more loving and accepting. Tap the eyebrows. Part of me can't forgive myself so easily. Okay, tap the temples. Part of me cannot forgive myself for handling it like that. Tapping the cheeks. I don't want to even admit that I feel bad. Tapping under the nose. Part of me just wants to forget about it and move on. Tapping under the lips. The past is the past. Tap the chest. Have you ever heard anyone do that? Oh, it happened yesterday. Okay, it's the past. It's like, well, yes, that's true. And if we learn from the past, we don't repeat the past, right? So we actually have to go through that uncomfortable process of examining what didn't work well and rerouting ourselves, and also maybe cleaning up mistakes and messes, making amends to ourselves, making amends to others, and then taking steps to not repeat that same piece of material, right? Tapping the front of the ribs. And some of this is simply just processing the emotion and not trying to just distance ourselves from it as quickly as we can. Tapping the side of the ribs, even though a part of me feels regretful about, and say what it is. And tap the inside of the wrist. I feel angry at myself. Tune in and see if you feel angry at yourself about this, or angry at someone else. Tap the side of the thumb. This anger. And tap the index finger. All this anger. And tap your middle finger. I'm open to loving and expressing myself, even though I'm used to feeling ashamed of this, not wanting to discuss it, hiding it from myself. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. I love and release myself. Okay? Tap the little finger. Part of me feels embarrassed because I let this happen, or I allowed this to happen. Tap the side of the hand. Part of me feels embarrassed. Tap the top of the head, and a little angry. See if you feel angry about it too. I know it can be a mixed bag of stuff in there, right? Tapping the eyebrows. This regret. Ah! That's my Kermit the Frog voice. Tap the temples. All this regret. Can you make a big sound? Tapping the cheeks. Tapping under the nose. All this regret. Tapping under the lips. I feel embarrassed. What's the most embarrassing part? Is it that you threw such a fit and found out that it wasn't necessary? Or is it that you didn't take care of something that was important and you let it escalate because it was overwhelming or difficult to deal with? Tapping the front of the ribs. This regret. Tapping the side of the ribs. The part that's the hardest is, go ahead and discuss that again for 10 more seconds. Keep going. Let's do 10 more seconds. That feels really useful. Tapping the inside of your wrist. Keep telling me about it. And tapping the side of the thumb. Big deep breath. Tap the index finger. It's been really hard to process this. Tap the middle finger. I haven't wanted to acknowledge it. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. I haven't wanted to acknowledge this. It's been too embarrassing. Tap the little finger. I wish I hadn't, what? Lost control. I wish I hadn't said what I said, or ate what I ate, or spent what I spent. Tapping the top of the head and breathing. And tapping the eyebrows. I'm allowing myself to learn from this. I'm tapping the temples. I'm allowing myself to learn from this. Tapping the cheeks. I love and respect myself, even if and then say what happened. Tapping under the nose. I deeply and completely forgive myself. See if you can deeply and completely forgive yourself. And if that's just way too big of a bite, whoo, tapping under your lips, I'm open to deeply and completely forgiving myself. Eventually, tapping the chest. It's okay if it takes some time to work through this. And tapping down the bottom of the ribs. Tune in and see if you feel guilty. Is there a part of you that's just like, oh, that was my fault? Yeah. Dang. Tap the side of the ribs. Part of me feels, and if guilty works for you, say guilty. If it's not that word, change it until it is something that rings true. We're going to say that same word again. Sticking with guilty again, if that works. Change it if it doesn't. Here we go. This feeling of and breathe. Tapping the side of the thumb. This feeling of tapping the index finger. This feeling of tap the middle finger. This remaining feeling of tapping the bottom of the fourth finger, tuning into that feeling again. See if you can call it up while you're tapping your fourth finger. Tapping your little finger. I'm open to loving and accepting myself, even with this remaining feeling of what? Tapping the side of the hand. So tuning into this regret that we've been working on. How strong is it now? Tap the chest. What number would you assign to the level of regret you have here still harboring inside you about this incident? And just whatever number it is, don't put it in the chat room yet, but go ahead and just let yourself acknowledge that it still has that much intensity. And just open your heart and give yourself some compassion for having to carry this. I often talk about a rock in the backpack. This is a rock in the backpack, and taking out those regrets one at a time will make you feel lighter and happier and more free and more available. Tapping the front of the ribs. I accept that this regret still feels like, and say what number that is for you, like a 10 or a 5. And tapping the side of the ribs. This remaining feeling. Tap the inside of the wrist. Again, just accepting whatever intensity is there. Part of me still wishes what? What do you wish had happened? that you'd kept your mouth shut, that you'd been more willing to do something that was preventative earlier. Tap the side of the thumb. Tap the index finger. Part of me still wishes what? What is it that you're wishing had happened? Tap the middle finger. I'm giving myself some compassion for however this went down. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. This is exactly how I needed to learn about life and love. And this is exactly how long it's taken me. Tap the little finger. Is it possible that somehow it's in divine timing? Tap the side of the hand. That this is just what was needed. Tap the top of the head. I accept the part of me that says, no, it's not what was needed. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Should have done it differently. I could have done it differently. Tap the eyebrows. It's possible that this is exactly what needed to happen. Tap the temples for me to grow and evolve. Tap the cheeks, and to value and learn. Tapping into the nose. I'm giving myself some compassion here. Tapping into the lips. What would happen if you opened your heart to this part of you that still feels quite judgmental? Tapping the chest. What does this judgmental part of you say? I said maybe it shoulda, woulda, coulda, but what are you actually saying to yourself here? You knew better, you did it anyway. Big, deep breath and sigh. Tapping the front of the ribs. I accept this part of me that keeps saying, say that phrase again, the one that you hear your critical voice saying to you about this. Tapping the side of the ribs. This voice is trying to get me to do what? What does that voice want you to do? Because it may not be a very positive message, but I bet you that underneath it, it has a positive motivation. Like it's trying to get you to be careful, or it's trying to get you to not make that mistake again, to learn, to grow, maybe to take responsibility, or to be more of an adult in this area of your life. Tap the side of the thumb and breathe. Ask yourself again, what is this voice that says, say the negative phrase while you tap your thumb. What is this voice trying to tell me? Tap the index finger. This voice is actually trying to love me and protect me. Is that true? Take a second into the chat, a yes or a no. Is that voice trying to love you and protect you, even if it's kind of a funny way of doing it? And tapping the middle finger, I see people saying, yes, absolutely. Marquessa's saying, yep. Megan says, yes. Yeah. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. This voice, this critical voice, is actually trying to love me and support me by reprimanding me, making me feel guilty or bad or wrong. And tap the little finger. Big deep breath, sending some love to that voice. And we're going to have a little conversation with this critical voice in your head that actually thinks it's doing you a favor. And maybe it has by keeping this in Reminderville. But now we're going to take it out of Reminderville. We're going to learn the lesson, actually grow and evolve, and then it can all disappear. Here we go. This negative voice that says what? Let's go ahead and say what you hear it saying. Tap the side of the hand. Is actually trying to love me and support me to what? Hannah says, trying to get me not to give up. Tapping the top of the head. I'm giving myself some comfort here. Thank you, critical voice. You really just want me to know what? Go ahead and say what the positive meaning of the critical voice really is. This positive meaning is not wanting me to give up or making sure that I grow in this area. Tapping the eyebrows. Megan's saying it wants me to get my stuff together, to claim my own responsibility and move on, but actually learn from the mistakes. Yeah, absolutely. Tapping the cheeks. This voice wants me to learn and to grow, to get it together. And to move on and not keep making the same mistake again and again and again. It's so boring, right? Tapping under the lips. I forgive myself for having to learn this lesson so many times. Tapping the chest. So now we're going to go in a little deeper. So how many times have you had the same regret? Did you have it more than once? I did. Did you have it more than twice? Oh, yes. Did you have it hundreds of times? Probably. Here we go. Burp it out. Tap down to the front of your ribs. Okay, I made this happen so many times. How many times? Hundreds, years, months, decades? Tap the side of the ribs. The entire relationship, what is it? Tap the inside of the wrist. I'm open to loving and forgiving myself, even if it created a lot of suffering for me or others. Tap the side of the thumb. And now I'm ready to learn what I need to learn. Tap the index finger. All right, you know that there's a lesson, right? What was the lesson? Was it don't eat food after midnight? Was it learn to, what is it for you? Big deep breath. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. I'm allowing myself to learn this lesson now. Okay, this is where we're going to get really humble and kind. It's okay for me to learn this lesson. Tapping the little finger. I don't have to feel bad about it the rest of my life, even if I created a lot of pain. Tap this side of the hand. The pain becomes useful because I learn and grow. Okay? So no matter how much pain and suffering that you created for yourself or for others or for yourself and others, the only way to balance it, to like rectify it at this point, is to say, okay, I've learned. It was an expensive lesson. It cost me a lot of time. It cost me a lot of trust. It cost me a lot of happiness. But I'm now learning, and I'm never going to make that mistake again. And I promise to do whatever I need to do. And what is it that you need to do? Do you need to educate yourself more in this area and take some courses or read some books or, master a life skill? What is it that you need to do to give yourself confidence that you're not going to keep stepping in that hole? So you have a plan of like, okay, this is my honest moment with myself saying, okay, I'm going to take this part of me on. I don't have to be mean about it. I don't have to be angry or guilty. I just need to fix it, right? We're just going to make a little correction, a little course correction. And tapping the back of the head. Okay, tapping the eyebrows. I'm allowing myself to make this course correction. And tapping the temples, which includes what? What are 2 or 3 things that correcting this part of your either response to yourself, response to the world, response to food, response to whatever your environment is, that would help you stay on track in this area of your life that's been so costly? Tap the cheeks. Wow. Okay. Tapping under the lips. Now, did someone try to tell you? Did you hear this? Did someone try to warn you or tell you, hey, if you keep doing that, it's going to end up like this? Tapping the chest. I forgive myself for being resistant to that information when it would have been really useful for me, right? I forgive myself for being resistant to, and maybe it was a person, maybe it was a teacher or a book or a parent who tried to tell you this. And you maybe threw that information out along with the person who was giving you the information. Tap the front of the ribs. I forgive myself for resisting learning from where or who. Tap the side of the ribs. I had some resistance. Inside of the wrist. Okay, you can feel how that adds to the regret. It's like, and I kind of knew better. Very often we have the information that would save us the trouble and we just choose to ignore it. And we don't always have it, but in case you, like me, had the information and chose to ignore it, let's tap it out. Tap the side of the thumb. Even though a part of me knew better, but I just wasn't willing, or I was too lazy, or I was just too resistant, or I was too overwhelmed, whatever it is for you. Tapping the index finger, it's okay. I accept the part of me that resisted implementing that info in a timely way. Tap the middle finger. Tuning into that part of your heart that still carries that bittersweet feeling of regret. Like, oh, really? Tap the bottom of your 4th finger. I love and forgive myself. I accept the part of me that didn't want to change until now. Tap the little finger. I accept the part of me that didn't want to change until now. Tap the side of the hand and breathe. And tapping the top of the head. I love and respect myself. Okay? Keep going here. Keep tapping. Tap the side of the head and the back of the head. I'm giving myself the loving attention. Tap the temples. And the lesson that I didn't want to hear from who? I didn't want to hear it from my mom, or I didn't want to hear it from school. I don't want to hear it from my sweetheart. I didn't want to hear it from my husband. I didn't want to hear it from my boyfriend, my girlfriend. my sister, my brother. Tap the front of the ribs. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tap the side of the ribs, even if I could have avoided some of this if I had just listened to what or who. Okay? So now we're going to have a little pause and a little check-in. So tuning into this issue that we've been working on, this regret, how much intensity is there for you now? Go ahead and put that in the chat room. Put it at what it was at the beginning. Maybe it was a 10, and then you can put dash. Now it's down to what? And let's see where it is. If you're not doing this live with us, I want you just to tap on your chest, tuning into what it is, what number of intensity is still there, and just accepting for a moment what level it is before we move on. Because as you go back into the files, the neural network of your brain, and search for this information, every time you touch it, it changes it a little bit. And when you touch it with this kind of a neutral, calm, empathetic presence, it actually decreases the pain and the emotional charge behind it. And then when you come out, you actually have a different neural network and a different experience of life. Okay, Marquesa is down to a 6, says still feels heavy. Not Mateo's down almost half from a 9 to a 5. Josie says it's still pretty intense, a 9 to an 8. Golden Dragon 8 to a 6. Let's see, making sure I'm getting the most recent stuff. Okay, Bethany a 6 to a 4. Lindsay an 8 to a 4. Sloan a 10 to a 7. Cecile, big realizations. Thank you, a 10 to a 4. Okay, that's about where we would expect to be in the session as we do this each week. And we still have 15 minutes. Let's see what miracles we can create for you in 15 minutes. Massaging the front of your chest and breathing. Even though it still feels like, say the number of intensity, or describe the intensity if you can't find a number for it. Because I've been blaming. Tune in and see if there's some blame there. I've been blaming who? I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tap the eyebrows. I've been blaming who? Tapping the temples. All this blame. Tap the cheeks. I love and forgive myself even if I continue to shame or blame, and say who it is. Tapping under the nose. Even if I continue to shame or blame who? Tapping under the lips. I accept the part of me that wants to hold responsibility somewhere. Hold somebody responsible. Tapping the chest. I want to make somebody wrong. I want to make it somebody's fault. Tap the front of the ribs. Yeah, I've been blaming who? Tap the side of the ribs. I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tapping the inside of the wrist. Even if I continue to blame who? Tap the side of the thumb. Part of me wants to make this person, maybe it's yourself, maybe it's someone else, responsible for what happened. Tap the index finger. And maybe it really was their fault. Tap the middle finger. And now I want to recover fully my energy. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger. Let go of the need to find fault or blame or attack. Tap the little finger and grow and move on. Tap the side of the hand. I'm ready to receive the benefit from this experience. The benefit from an experience of regret? Oh yes. So let's think about that for a minute. Think about some of the most important things that you've learned. Maybe those lessons didn't come super easy. Maybe some of them were really, really hard. Maybe you had to make quite a few mistakes. Maybe you had to fail before you learned. But once you learned, you really got it, yeah? Tap the top of the head. I'm giving myself the benefit of this experience. Tapping the sides of the head and the back of the head. And I'm proud of myself for allowing myself to completely recover. Tap the eyebrows. I'm allowing myself to completely recover from, and then describe what happened. Tapping the temples. And tapping the cheeks. I'm allowing myself to forgive myself and everyone involved. Tapping under the lips, whether they deserve it or not. Check in and see if you're willing to offer forgiveness. And if you're not, then we're going to back up and say, I'm still waiting for restitution or an apology. Tapping the front of the ribs. Is it okay to forgive with or without restitution or an apology? Just to get my life force back. Tap the side of the ribs. I'm allowing myself to make it right now. Tap the inside of the wrist. What would make it right for you? What's this course correction that you're making? Learning to what? There's something that you need to learn here. Tap the side of the thumb. I'm willing to learn to do what? Tap the index finger. Even if it's still a challenge, tap the middle finger. Even if I'm just in the early phases, tap the bottom of the fourth finger. There's a part of me that's trying to encourage me by making me feel regretful. Tap the little finger. Let's go to this regretful part of you. What's still holding it together? 30 seconds. I want you to describe in detail what's still there for you while you tap the side of your hand. And breathe. And tapping the top of the head. I'm releasing wherever this pattern came from. This pattern of self-sabotage. Check and see if people in your family had the same kind of regret. Did your mother or your father do the same thing? And suffer a similar consequence, or almost suffer the same consequence? Yeah, my mom did. Did your dad do this? Refuse to grow and then create the suffering, or your mom refused to be able to grow, recreate the suffering? Tap the cheeks. It's possible that this regret is also a reflection, tapping into the nose, of what happened in my family growing up. Tapping under the lips. And part of me is trying to complete this learning for my family. Check it. Tap the chest. I'm allowing myself to heal this for myself and my family. Tapping the front of the ribs, no matter how long it takes. Tap the side of the ribs. I might be the first one in the family to get it. That's okay, right? It's actually kind of cool. Tap the inside of the wrist. I'm allowing myself to evolve myself, to heal my family history. Tap the side of the thumb. And to release this pain and suffering for myself. And for who? Who in your family has a matching pattern here? For me, it was my mother. Tap the index finger and breathe. Yes, releasing this family suffering. And whose energy? Mom's energy around this, or dad's energy? Big one. Tap the bottom of the fourth finger, releasing this energy of whose from your body. For me, I'm going to say releasing my mother's energy from my body. About, and then I'm going to say that regret. Tap the little finger. It's safe for me to do this. Tap the side of the hand. It's time for me to do this. I refuse to do what they did. That's never going to make me happy. Tap the top of the head. I'm allowing myself to evolve this and to heal it for myself. Tapping the sides of the head. For them. And for future generations. Tap the eyebrows. I'm clearing this from my body. Tap the temples, no matter how long it's been sitting here. Tap the cheeks, no matter how many times I've made the same mistake. Tapping under the nose. I'm giving myself permission to learn and evolve. Tapping under the lips, releasing any remaining shame. Tuning in. Tap the chest, see if there's any shame. Tap the front of the ribs. Any remaining shame, any remaining fear. Tap the side of the ribs. It's safe for this to be released now. I've been so afraid that I would never grow. I would never learn. I would never get it. Tap the inside of the wrist. I had to hold on to this regret to help me grow. Tap the side of the thumb. So tune in and see, is that regret necessary if you're willing to forgive yourself and then do whatever you need to do to advance in this area? And I know some of it you're doing right now. You're tapping on it, which makes a huge difference. I hope you use this video library. Get in there and get your tap on. You can move so much and really redefine your personality, your reactions. Cleaning up your nervous system changes everything. So tap your index finger. I love and accept myself. Tapping the middle finger. It's safe for me to heal what happened. Describing again for 30 seconds what happened. Tuning in to see if you still have any pain about it. And tap the little finger. It's safe for me to do this. Tapping this side of the hand. I'm finally able to acknowledge, release, and forgive this regret. Tapping the top of the head. So let's build out a different version. Okay? So going back to that moment in time, and I want you to do a redo. So we're going to rewind, and we're going to do a take two. So the first time didn't go so well. Maybe the first 150 to 5,000 times it didn't go very well. But this time, we're going to get it. Okay, so tapping the top of the head. Visualize what you would have liked to have happen had you known what you now know. And if it's hard to visualize, go ahead and just speak it out loud. Tapping the sides of the head and the back of the head. Keep going, keep talking or visualizing. Imagining you get this beautiful redo and it works so well. And it creates a really different outcome. Describe the outcome. Well, now that I handled it this way, what's the benefit? Tapping into the nose. Describe in glorious detail the benefit of this new choice. Tapping the chest. I'm allowing my body to experience the success of this. Tapping the front of the ribs. I'm allowing my body to experience the success of this. Tap the side of the ribs. Let your body see what it feels like. Describe again. Because I was able to say again what you succeeded in doing. Beautiful. Tapping all over the body. We're going to wrap it up. Telling yourself some loving, kind things. I'm proud of you. Thank you for continuing. You're really smart and you're growing. All is forgiven and all is well. So let's do our final check-in. How are you feeling now? Go ahead and put that in the chat. You can either do it by numbers or you can write a sentence. And if this didn't clear it completely, you either need to do some more tapping a little bit deeper on different aspects. So I suggest that you watch this video again, and instead of doing like guilt and anger and sadness, you do the other emotions that we didn't have time for. You may have to make a phone call. You may have to send a letter or have a coffee with someone and sit and say, hey, you know, I want you to know that I did X, Y, and Z, and I wish I hadn't, and if I had it to do over again, I would have done this instead. It's really nice to hear that. It can really change the way someone perceives you, It can also repair trust. It can repair respect, especially if they see you learning that lesson. It can actually create a lot of admiration. Okay. I see a lot of success here. I need to do more at a 3, so loan down to a 5, probably take a few more sessions, but I do feel like I'm on my way. Cecile says, thank you so much, feeling like a new person. Mateo's down to a 2, taking responsibility, cleared an old pattern from mom, forgave myself. Josie, I'm feeling stirred up by this. It brings the issue out of the shadows. So yeah, this is a big one. Please do the tap again. It's only an hour. Do it before next week. You don't have to live with these heavy feelings in your heart. Okay? Nin says, down to a 4 and ready to process my regrets. Beautifully. Lindsay says, I feel amazing. Ideas swirling to me about making art. So much better. Kim, I'm so glad you're here. Down to a 2 from a 9. I'm so happy for all of you. Thank you for sharing this beautiful time with me. I want to remind you that we are doing our first ever membership drive. We need 500 people to join this circle so that we can afford to keep it going. It's been 4 years. I haven't been great at advertising. I've been practicing and refining and seeing if it works and learning all the technology and hiring people and training people and learning how to do all of that stuff and holding this space, imagining that somehow it was just going to fill up on its own. And now I'm at a place where it needs to financially support itself, where I can't afford to do this anymore. So please, please, please get a hold of the people that you love and say, come tap with me. Send them the link, pester them, text them, get them to your house to come sit with you so that they too can share this really sacred and I want to say spiritual experience of evolving ourselves with each other's love and support. You know, it's a non-denominational practice, but it has that same effect of giving us this like reverence and connection that we're looking for in so many practices. So you have my love. I will be at Burning Man next week, and you will be getting a very special couple of circles. So please continue to show up. We've got you covered. You're going to continue to tap it out weirdly with me, except for I'm going to be in 2 places at once. So you'll figure out how that works next time. All right, loving all of you. And some of you, I will see you in the dust very soon. And others, I will see you in the circle.